Well, good evening and welcome to the Weight Room. I am Dr. Claire Henry, and I am honored to be your host again this evening, this Monday evening, this Martin Luther King Jr. birthday. We also pay tribute to him for his lifelong legacy of loving people and being our drum major for justice. Tonight, we're going to talk about resolutions. And so our friend Aisha Powell is going to come on here and tell us all about resolutions, where it came from, um, resolutions, as I say, or whatever you call them, because I know some people have trigger words. But anyway, we're going to talk about resolutions. And then later on, our friend Shateka from last week is going to come on and talk more about retirement and about finances. So hopefully you'll hang on for that too. Aisha, how are you this day?
Hi, I'm well. Thank you for allowing me to come on again, Dr. Claire. And
Absolutely.
I'm super excited to be here on Martin Luther King Day. It has been a full day of inspiration, service, advocacy and activism. And so I'm glad to end the night on a good note with talking to you about resolutions and intentions and goals. Like you said, so many people have different words for them. But yeah, I'm excited to come on and share a little bit about that and goal setting and to engage in some dialogue with our other guests tonight.
Cool. Well, go ahead. Tell us what you got. What are resolutions and who started this whole thing?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, I was wondering if people even knew what resolutions were or where they came from. And they actually started in ancient Babylonian times.
Oh my.
And yeah. And so it wasn't in January like we start our resolutions now. It actually happened around mid-March
Hmm.
when, farmers would start to plant their seeds and they actually made promises to their gods to pay off debts and anything they borrowed. And with these promises, they would hope that their gods would have favor on them in the upcoming year. And
Hmm.
so, yeah, so Babylonians, they set the tone for this.
Oh.
And then it moved into Julius Caesar in Rome. And so Janus is a god that they believed in, and this god looked forward instead of backwards. And so they started into January. So that's where we all started kind of the January calendar year with starting our resolutions. And so it's
Okay.
just a little historical perspective and how we came to this point in setting our resolutions in January.
Well, thank you for that history lesson.
Mhm,
Like I said, some people call them resolutions. Some people say goal setting.
mhm.
Um, we come up with whatever we want to because resolutions got a bad rap because
Yeah.
people set them and then by week three, uh, most of us, especially if it's a fitness or eating
Mhm.
better, before the month is out, most most of that's gone down the drain. So,
Yeah.
what other words do people use?
I think goals and setting intentions, those are kind of some of the popular words that I've used around resolutions. And I just wonder from your perspective, as a Christian, like knowing that resolution started with Babylonians to their gods, and then it shifted to the Romans who said it in January. And now, even with us Christians, we even have the New Year's Day service or watch night service. And I was wondering if this changed anything, knowing kind of the historical perspective on resolutions.
Well, none of that's really related. I mean,
Mhm.
watch night came out of, I think, more out of the history of slavery. But
Mm.
as far as real resolutions are concerned, it's
Mhm.
simply
Mhm.
people looking to hope for a better year than they had last year or hoping to do something differently. So I don't necessarily think it has a Christian perspective. It's a human perspective more so than anything. You want next year to be better than this year or different,
Mhm.
so you put your hopes, your dreams, your prayers, your everything, and your energy and your time and your working into making the next year better than the last one was. So I think it's look at it more as a goal setting thing.
Yeah, I was in my research, I was looking at where it started with this in 1740 that the
Hmm.
Christians, I forget which denomination it was, but they started kind of a renewal service in January. So I wonder
Hmm.
even, this would have stemmed or how closely related it is to African American traditions. And so that it is interesting that you go from Babylonians to Romans and to the Christian, and now we have our own tradition. I guess that's how things evolve over time. But yeah,
Right. That's how traditions evolve.
yeah,
Exactly.
yes, yes, but yeah, so but yeah, I think it is, for me, I think it's just a great time of reflection and looking forward to the new year. And so
Hmm.
I'm excited about kind of looking at, okay, what did I do last year? Where can I improve upon? Where do I want to see myself in 2025? And how did
Right.
I set that tone in 2024?
Right.
But yeah, so there are different trends right now that's happening
Hmm.
for New Year's resolution. Can you guess, like, what are the top four areas of resolutions for us in America?
Well, it's usually health, wealth, and yeah, health and
Mhm.
wealth. I know those are always the top two. Getting
Yeah.
fit,
Hmm.
losing weight.
Yes. So the gym memberships are crazy. I am a member of Planet Fitness
Oh
and it
boy.
has yeah, so it's been an uptick, but I really I love to see it. Hopefully they can set that tone and create habits. I think it's 21 days. I'm not sure if that's scientific, but 21 days to create a habit and hopefully
Create a
stick with
habit.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so but yeah, it is up. And yeah, like you said, health, when it comes down to health, top searches on Google is gym membership, meal preparation, healthy meal ideas, and even a dry January. So no alcohol during
Right.
the month of
Now,
January.
I've never
And
heard of that one till last year, when I came here, the dry January. I'd never heard of that one.
yeah, so that's one too. So with health trends, I think that's kind of one of the popular ones. You even see it
Mm.
on these television shows, Good Morning America, CBS Good Morning, that this is something to explore and different tips. But yeah, of course, health is one of the top resolutions. Also travel. So traveling is
Okay.
kind of one of the big things too. I know I have kind of some goals this year to go out of the country, visit friends in other states, but that is also a trend for resolutions, traveling. So, do you have any traveling plans this year?
Well, actually, somebody just sent me a text today, asked me, did I want to go somewhere fun? I'm like, yes. I'm,
Yes.
I'm game. So apparently, a friend of mine is trying to plan a trip. So I'm like, let me know. you know.
Yes. And
So
something new, I think that's not been around is sustainability. So even now, sustainability in regards to helping our environment with products or even
okay,
with fashion. And so after reading this, I was thinking that I could probably start recycling more, purchasing extra trash bin just for recycling. So people are really considering and thinking about how to make sure that we are living eco-friendly lifestyles.
okay, that's a good one.
Yes, yes. And then of course, like you said, the last one is saving money. So
Hmm.
how to save money on grocery shopping, using personal finance apps. I know I
Coupons.
downloaded. Yes, yeah, I use Acorn, and you can have money taken out. All your money
Oh, okay,
can,
I've heard of that.
yeah, your change goes into the savings account and they invest it for you. So, how, creating a budget, sticking
Hmm.
with that budget. So, yes, so those are the four. So, health, savings, traveling, and sustainability. Those are the four trends for resolutions.
Okay,
But
well,
again, like
that's
you,
sustainability. That's a new one on me. But go
yeah.
ahead.
But so we have all these resolutions, and like you said, by maybe mid-January, they're kind of like, I'll try again at the beginning of next month.
Right.
Right. And so when I talk with my students or some of my mentees, whenever they have a goal or resolution or intention, I always tell them to use the SMART goal method.
Hmm.
Have you heard of that?
Yeah, go ahead and explain it.
Yeah, so the SMART goal method says that if you want to meet a goal, and you should have a method, and this is called the SMART goal method. So
Hmm.
S stands for specific, stands for measurable, A attainable, R realistic, and one is time bound. So,
Right.
for example, if we're doing health, and I want to say I want to lose weight, that's very broad, but we
Right.
want to make that very specific. So I may say in the month of January, by January the 30th, I want to lose 10 pounds by going to the gym 3 times a week, meal
Right.
prepping, and um, stop drinking sugary drinks. So
Hmm.
you want to make it very specific so you can follow that, because if it's very broad, you don't even have an action plan. So we
That's
want
right.
to make sure that we do have a SMART goal in those different areas. And so just make it very specific, measurable. So make sure you have that measurable piece. So for that example, I put 10 pounds.
Hmm.
So that's the measurable. Now, is it attainable? For science, they say you can lose 2 pounds, 2 to 3 pounds a week. So that's more on the extreme side. But is it
Hmm.
attainable? Yes, realistic. And we have that time bound piece by January 30th. And you can use this method in regards to health, savings. You can
Right.
also use it with sustainability. Like I said, I want to start recycling more. How can I do that? By buying a recycle bin, by
Hmm.
putting the time on there. So I think that's something that we have to help, because it's an evidence-based technique, and it really helps refine
Yep.
our goals.
That's right. I mean, because I mean, even the Bible says faith without works is dead, right? So you can
Hmm.
continue to believe upon a thing, but unless you write it down and make it measurable, like you said,
Hmm.
couple of pounds a week is realistic. Yours was a bit much, but make,
Yeah, that's more on the extreme side. So, and I use that as an example, but
yeah,
it may not be even pounds. Like with health, it could be inches off your waist.
right.
It could
Less sugar
be,
for sure.
yeah, less sugar. It could be around water, my water intake, drinking more water, making sure I drink 100 ounces of water. So
Hmm.
kind of, make sure you do have that measurable piece so you can track your progress to meeting that goal.
Right. So what other things? You said there were four major things that people make resolutions around. What are
Mhm.
some of the other ones?
So, building relationship with family. So
Really?
always make it, yeah, yeah. So, um, developing or strengthening those relationship with families.
How about going to church?
Well, I didn't read about that one, but hopefully that is on someone's,
Well,
resolution list.
you know what
Mhm,
happens is,
mhm,
from watch night usually through the
mhm.
the end of January, churches are just full, just like gyms. It's
Yeah.
the same phenomenon. And then
Mhm.
February they start to trickle off. So,
Yeah, and then they're back for Easter. Yes.
right.
Yes, it definitely, yeah, it is. And I wonder what happens, and let's just use that as an example, as Christians, like, how do I build a better relationship with God? How do we make
Mhm.
that into a SMART goal method? And so we can say, I know for our church, we have first month, first fruit right now. And
Mhm.
our pastor has laid out, okay, these are the specific things that you have to do. So she's given us a framework, really,
Right.
like in the January, these are the three things I want you to do. And so
Exactly.
personally, how do we do that to, grow in our relationship with God? So specifically, I can say, for the month of January, I'm going to listen to Jackie Hill Perry's Bible podcast that she's doing. She's actually going to read the Bible over a year, and so
Well, you
I'm
know
listening
what?
to. Mhm.
Dr. Claire Henry has the Bible as well. I've read the Bible
Really?
over, yeah. So reading through the Bible in a year is also on this YouTube. So
Oh,
you could do it with me. I know I'm just me, but
yes. You know how now you have to go back in and try to do the plug where you can, or put it in the link so people can go back to this live and say, "Oh, let me click on that." But yeah, so great. So Jackie Hill or Dr. Claire,
there you
read the
go.
Bible in a year. So spending more time or in the morning before you get out
Mhm.
of bed, just expressing gratitude to God.
Mhm.
Or For me, I listen to worship music throughout the day. That kind of keeps me
Mhm.
uplifted. But even making those specific goals to your spiritual life. And when we look at development, it's multidimensional. And so
Mhm.
we have our career, we have our social, we have our emotional, financial. So all those different domains of development,
Right.
making those specific goals. And don't overwhelm yourself, because sometimes we can overwhelm ourselves with goals. So maybe it's just one
That's
goal per
that's why
area.
they
So
stop.
yeah, so that's something to consider too. But yeah, so different goals and different domains of development, but try to keep them limited so you don't overwhelm yourself, and
Mhm.
maybe recreate a goal once you accomplish that first one.
There you go. Go on
Yes.
to step 2, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
Now another.
if you lose those 10 pounds, then you're gonna work on another 10, or you're gonna work on toning. So,
Mhm,
you can flavor it after you
mhm.
have met that one goal. Okay, what's next? The what's next, the number 2.
Yes. And another thing is staying positive. So making sure that you remain positive. I know sometimes with the health goals, like going to the gym, we may feel maybe discouraged, maybe after
Mm,
maybe a week or so, and you don't see those that scale dropping. Well, keep to it, remain optimistic,
right.
even scientifically you won't see change to 2 to 3 weeks. So making sure you remain positive, that's another way to achieve your goals, because if you
Exactly.
do get discouraged, so just make that shift in your mindset. Another tip to kind of make sure that you meet your goals is have a accountability partner.
Ah, yeah.
Yes. And so, again, with the different domains in development, you may have a person that's accountable with your health goal, like
Mhm.
a friend. And then for your financial goal, you may have your financial advisor. So, having a accountability partner will help you more likely to meet your goal.
Or coach.
Our coach, yes. So, Coach Jerome,
Coach
he
Jerome, right? The transformational coach.
Yes, yes, that would. So, for him, getting someone, even with our mental health,
Mhm.
getting a counselor, or therapist, so someone to keep you accountable, to help you make sure you're making those shifts to get where you want to be, in that time bound,
How about
that
journaling?
journaling. Yeah, that's another way. So, okay, so thinking about mental health. So, mental health, it could be meditating, it could be
Mhm.
exercising, it could be journaling, whatever kind of helps you get that out, or just so you can kind of really process those thoughts that you're having.
Mm, that's a good one.
Yes. Now, another thing is making sure you're doing those small little things versus, trying to do a lot at one time. So, just making those small changes, because all of those small changes over time does help contribute to the larger part of meeting that goal.
That's right. Because even, when of course, this whole concept of the weight room is about going into the weight room and making the changes that you want to make,
Mhm.
so that when you come out of there, that, you're this brand new you. And so those changes are going to be incremental. You're not going to see it all at one time, but over time, just like you said, if there was, you wanted to lose 20 pounds in a month or 10 pounds in a week,
Mhm.
you kind of have to break that down into a daily goal, a
Mhm.
pound a day or a half pound a day, or, stop eating after 8, um, different things like that, different methods so that you can achieve that goal. So you do little things during the week, or little increments, um,
Mhm.
little incremental changes rather, so that they'll all add up or subtract for your
Mhm.
goal at the end of the week or the month or whatever your time frame is. Because that's the T in SMART, right? Time frame.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. Making sure you have that time bound. So yeah, so we kind of went over kind of the where did resolutions start and
Hmm.
kind of what are the top trends, and then we talked about kind of some tips to meeting your goals. And so now, kind of talking about our goals for 2024. I know, and around health, I definitely want to become more healthier this
Mm.
year. And so I've
Okay.
started, yeah, so things I'm doing. So I want to probably maybe the goal for 2024 is probably to lose 15 to 20 pounds. So that's kind of my goal by the end of 2024. And I kind
Okay.
of told you a little bit of things and kind of the action plan for that. And that is to meal prep. And so I've been doing good so far. So I've been,
Was
yeah.
it
So
day 15?
yes, it's
Okay.
January 15th. Listen,
Okay.
I'm doing incremental changes. So
Hmm.
I'm practicing kind of what I'm saying here, but making sure that I have my list the week before and making sure I go grocery shopping and having one day to just do meal prep
Oh, good
and
for
have that
you.
plan. Now
Make
that's for my evening, but I'm a single woman, so I don't have to, I don't have other factors like cooking for my husband or
right.
children. So I don't mind having the same thing for dinner 5 days a week. And
Me
then
either.
I have I get the to-go salads for lunch.
Hmm.
And that's not putting as much pressure on me during the week to try to make something during lunch.
So when do you prep? You do it on Sunday?
I do it on Sunday, yes.
Okay, so you go shopping on Saturday, or you go.
So maybe Friday or Saturday. Now, do you use Food Lion to go or one of the to go places here in
Hmm.
Greenville, and I'll just go ahead and plug it in and pick it up. And then I don't even freeze it. Like once it gets into the house, I'll just go ahead and chop it up. If I'm doing chicken, I may put it in the air fryer, steam my vegetables
Hmm.
and my brown rice. So that's what I had this week. And then I had the to-go salads. And so that really helped.
Okay.
And I had yogurt. And so I am going to the gym too. So again, I'm a member at Planet Fitness.
A
So I
lot of
have
people there this week.
a lot of people there. And I have an accountability partner that helps me, keeps me accountable too.
That's
And
good.
I also purchased a subscription of the Peloton app, which
Okay.
is, I love that app because it gives you workouts you can do at home. So sometimes in the morning I'm busy and I don't have time to go to Planet Fitness. So I'll just go in my living room and I'll pull up one of the 20-minute workouts for
Hmm.
different areas in your body, on your body, your different muscles groups, and just do it
Hmm.
from there.
Good for
Also,
you.
yeah, so it's really so yeah, I'm endorsing that. And you can go to the gym and you can cycle with one of their cycle classes or use the treadmill or the row. So you don't necessarily have to have one of the Peloton exercise equipments in your house. You can do it along using just regular gym equipment at your local gym.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. Go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, so that, and then I'm not eating out more, which is helping me with my financial goals. So I'm limiting I'm limiting eating out unless it's kind of scheduled. So that's kind of some of the things that I'm doing in regards to my health. Do you have any health resolutions, goals, or intentions for this year?
No.
Do you set resolutions or goals for the
No.
year?
No.
Yeah. Some people don't. Some people are like, hey, I'm just gonna live life and just go with the flow. Flow in the spirit.
I mean, I might make a resolution, but it's not necessarily a New Year's resolution. It might
Mm-hmm.
be a month of February resolution, or, you know, um, this podcast is a resolution. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
working on it, and
Yeah.
but nothing necessarily specific. I have I mean, I work out in fits and starts, so it's nothing for me to just think I'm gonna make a resolution and do it. I mean, I'm either gonna do it or I'm not. So I
Mm-hmm.
tend to work out at night, because I'm a caregiver, so I have
Yeah.
somebody that I have to take care of during the day. So by the time I get my aunt down to bed, then
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably do some exercises, in my room. But
Mm-hmm.
right now, I'm not going out, running out somewhere to go to some place and breathe a
Yeah.
bunch of air with a bunch of other people. But that's just
Right,
me.
I understand. Yeah, I understand. Because even, I think when I talk to my students about their goals in regards to their academics, I tell them, okay, biologically, when are you most productive? So
Mhm.
I'm most productive in the morning. And then after two, I'm kind of going downhill.
Well,
So
actually,
I'm not,
I'm most productive in the morning, but that's
mhm,
for my mind. Like, so I'll
yeah.
do more reading and more studying in the morning,
Hmm.
um, and preparing. Like I said, I already have the whole Bible
Hmm.
on YouTube, reading through the Bible in a year. So
Hmm.
now I have Friday morning prayer that I do, and I put that out on YouTube on Friday mornings. So I'm doing ministry stuff like that in the morning. And then now
Okay.
I started doing it. I pretty much always have, but I'm doing a verse of the day. So I put up a verse of the day on, some picture that I've taken, because I used to take some pretty decent pictures. But anyway, so
Hmm.
mentally, morning
Hmm.
is my best time.
Okay.
But as far as exercise, I walk the dog, and in the
Hmm.
evening, I may do some floor exercises or wall Pilates or something like that.
Hmm.
So that's how kind of how my production goes. Because during the day, it's all about everybody else for the most part.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So I kind of hear some SMART goal setting in there.
there it is.
Especially when you talk about ministry and every Friday and you have verses of the day. So that does take some planning. And
Hmm.
so it sounds like you got some SMART goal. You have a SMART goal process going on there.
Oh, I do. I do.
Mhm.
It's just not. I wouldn't call it a resolution.
Right. And
Yeah.
that's what, some people say resolution, goals, intentions. Even now, some people create vision boards,
Yeah,
you
we
know.
did that with the young people a couple weeks ago, and I mean, they were so creative and very intentional. We have a great group of young people, and I actually made one because I've
Mhm.
been to these parties, but I never really, took the time. But I actually made one while I was there with them, so
Mhm.
I'm kind of proud of myself about that. And it
Yeah.
involved more travel.
Oh, okay, that's good. So you're already talking about it. So you're already speaking it into existence. So
Yes, we wanna be on a plane, train, automobile, car, I don't even care. We
yeah,
want to be somewhere else, um,
yeah,
sometime this year besides home. Home is
yeah.
for me is Detroit or Atlanta. Well, I
Mhm.
need to go somewhere else besides Detroit and Atlanta.
Absolutely. Traveling is one of my goals too with a group of my girlfriends. And
Oh,
so
yeah?
I've been looking at Jamaica. It has some inclusive resorts.
They
So
do.
yeah, so I'm looking at maybe May once the students graduate and it
Mhm,
gives me a little break in the
mhm.
summer. So I'm thinking about that. So I've already looked into some things. Now I just have to identify the girls and making sure that I do give them enough time if they do need to save for the actual trip.
Yeah, you
So
you
yeah.
might need to start now with that.
Yeah. Yes. So But
Hmm.
yeah, I'm super excited about this year. I think 2024 is going to be a great year, and just giving people kind of tools, tips to really try to meet some of their goals for this year,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Okay.
in the different areas.
Okay. So you're gonna be a mentee and a coach.
I'm already a mentor and coach at work, so I
Oh,
love to help empower people. I think that's a part of my purpose is empowering people to achieve their goals so they can have an overall quality of life and well-being.
okay. Well,
Mhm.
we hadn't quite gotten to finances yet, but our friend
Yeah,
Shateka is in the waiting room, as they say.
yeah,
Um, and she talked to us last week about insurance, about retirement, about IUL. She's going to explain all that stuff again. Are you familiar with insurance and retirement um, instruments?
yes.
You are?
A little bit. I have a
Okay.
401k and I do some other investment for retirement.
Okay.
But I would love to hear more about it because, again, that's a top trend for resolutions in 2024.
Yes,
So
it
it'll
is.
help me with kind of setting those goals from this year. So I can't wait to hear the more information about it.
Well, we're going to bring her on right now. Good evening
Good
and
evening.
happy MLK Day to you too.
Yes, same to
Did
you
you have a
all.
day on?
I definitely was working today. Definitely was working today.
No,
Can't say that I
serving,
wasn't.
not working, serving.
Yes, serving. Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So it was a
Well,
good day. How about you
I'm
all?
this is Aisha. She's our friend that we missed last week. We're
Oh,
talking about
Mhm.
resolutions. We hadn't quite gotten to the financial piece yet, but we were talking about making smart goals,
yes.
smart, measurable goals for whatever resolutions people come up with. So that's basically what we have been talking about. So you take it away with the financial arena, the retirement. You're a retirement
Okay.
specialist, right? I don't want to get it wrong.
Retirement consultant for sure.
Okay,
Absolutely.
retirement consultant.
Nice to meet you,
Hey,
Aisha. Excited to
Nice
hear
to
your
meet
first part.
you.
Yeah,
Yes.
I heard what you said about the 401k, and so we do talk a little bit about those different employer plans. That's what that's called, of course.
Yeah.
Like that's like
We
a go ahead.
I'm sorry. Now we were just talking about the trends and one of the trends for the new year is financial goals and how to create smart goals. So I'm so excited to hear what you're going to share so it can help me maybe create a new smart goal to save more for retirement.
hey,
Absolutely. So yeah, there's quite a bit that we can talk about when we start talking about smart goals, but it really is it's subjective, right? So every individual will have what it is that their concerns are. As it relates for retirement per se, most people want to have enough money saved so that they can be able to live, say, 20 years, 30 years in retirement. Other people, they're fine with still working part time. They don't ever want to retire. They want to always be working because they feel like if they stop working, they're going to stop living. Other people feel
right,
differently. They just want to travel. So it really is very subjective, based on the individual and what it is that they're trying to do in retirement per se. So again, if you're looking for full-time retirement, it's going to require a lot more money for you to be able to have saved, of course. And so a 401k, I'll tell you that that is certain, like I said before, one of the qualified plans. So there's several different types of qualified plans. I like to educate and inform people, and then they can make their own decision. I don't do any recommendations. This is not financial advice. I don't know your financial situation. I got to give all those disclaimers because I really don't know what you have going on. But what I will say is that it is a qualified plan like other qualified plans. So there's people that are maybe having a 403b, a 457, a TSP, an IRA, a Roth IRA. The list goes on. They're all employer plans, meaning that they're qualified to have to end up paying taxes at some time in the future, right?
right,
Some people want to pay it now, the Roth IRA, so they don't have to pay taxes in the future. What I help educate people on is how do you supplement that? Because everyone knows that you can work 40 years and not have enough when it comes to retirement when you just do the traditional route. So that's why everyone is
hmm,
saying, wow, I understand now that I have to have a whole lot more because that's possibly not going to have enough money in it for me to be able to retire full time. So what people are looking at is, of course, what economists are saying is that in 2025 to 2032 is a possibility, real problem that there may not be Social Security. If that be the case, what are you going to do to either replace Social Security or supplement Social Security that you'll have enough money? That's the biggest question that's out there right now, right? So
Right.
we know that Social Security is very minimal. Of course, it is not competing with inflation. Inflation is growing every year, every day, however you want to say that. So if inflation is growing and Social Security can't compete, we know there's a gap already, just looking at that alone. We also know there's going to be a gap because whenever you do get your funds from whatever employer plan you have, which is qualified to pay taxes, you're going to end up having to pay taxes. So what you have today is not going to be what you have tomorrow. And oh, by the way, how is that going to supplement, or I should say, compete with inflation? So that inflation problem, that tax problem, we haven't even talked about healthcare problems because 80% of people will
Right.
have some type of long-term care need that they're going to have, right? And so how do you offset that so that you don't go bankrupt, possibly before retiring, if not during retirement, because of some type of health challenge that you didn't plan for, or even if you have an aging parent, something that's happening with them. So there's all those types of plans that we try to help people with as well, because these are problems that people don't necessarily think about, but it happens, right? So
Right.
looking at that, what is it that, is your independence, your financial independence numbers, what I would ask. Do you know your financial independence number? Not to ask you this live, of course, but this is what I'd be asking clients, right? Like, you know how much money you're going to need in the future for when you retire? Because if for example, today you're making $5,000 a month, I'm just giving a round number, but in retirement you need to be making $7,000 a month because you want to travel and so forth or whatever. How are you going to supplement it with an additional 2,000, or how are you going to at least maintain that same 5,000 if you're going to lose your check and only have the Social Security? How are you going to bridge that gap? That's the number one question that we're asking people. And so what people are saying is that, wow, if I have my 401k, that I'm predicting that this is how much money I'm going to have. I don't know because of market volatility, because I can lose money in my 401k. If I lose money in my
Right.
401k, I'm shot, right? And so what people are looking for is risk-free type of contributions where they can not have to lose any money inside their retirement account, because the older they become, the less risk they want to have in their portfolio, because they don't have time to wait for the market to rebound. They don't want to have that to cause them to have to continue to work longer than they have to, because they got to wait for the market to rebound and give them their money back inside that account. So we take away the risk. Lots of us take away the risk by helping people get into the non-traditional employer plans, such as something like an IUL. You probably heard of the IUL. That is something that is where, of course, is an index fund. Any type of index is going to be one where you're not going to have to worry about market volatility. Market can lose all the money it want. It doesn't matter. You can sleep at night because rest assured, you're not going to lose any money. You are going to be able to make money when the market does, make money, but you're not going to lose any money. In the last 40 years, we heard that there was 9 years where there was a loss, because the IUL is basically paralleling the performance of the S&P 500. The way your account is
And
credited
so,
is based on how
question,
the S&P 500 is performing. Yes, ma'am.
what does IUL stand for?
Index Universal Life Policy.
There
Yeah.
you go. Thank you.
IUL is Index
Okay.
Universal Life. It is a policy type. You have the various types, but that's the one that primarily is used for retirement, because it's more of a long-term play because of the fees that are met in the beginning years of that policy type, right? You can get the whole life and the other ones, but they all have different things. But for the purpose of retirement, IUL is going to be the one that's going to grow the most long-term in comparison to a whole life. It is also going to allow you the flexibility that a whole life is going to give you. So if you have, challenges with your job, you don't have a job, you can't pay your IUL. Oh, by the way, you can actually, if you can't pay your money, then your actual premiums can be paid based on the money that's already inside of that account. So that's something to be cognizant of, right?
Right.
And you can also, somebody else is in here. Okay, I see your comment, Saeen, and I know exactly what company that is. I actually offer them as well. So definitely, yeah. So the thing about it is you have the flexibility, you have access to greater cash value growth over a long period of time. It is the long-term play. And it's not the one that
Mm-hmm.
people use ideally for banking. So if you're trying to pay off debt, people are looking for banking policies so they can pay off their debt. That's going to be more of.
Which one is that?
So I will tell you that you can use an IUL, but it has to be properly structured. And the average person out here don't know how to properly structure the IUL because it's not been, even though it's been around for 25 years, you still have quite a few
Mm-hmm.
people that don't understand how to properly structure an IUL. Everybody primarily knows how to
Okay.
structure a whole life because it's been around forever. So
Well,
IUL,
back in the day, they were just telling us to get term, right?
back in the day, they were telling us to get term and invest the rest
Invest the difference. Oh,
because they
A.L.
figure,
Williams.
why put all the money inside of a policy when you can do what you want to do with the difference. But the problem with it is that most people don't know how to invest or don't know how to contribute to that, and then they end up spending it on something else. They don't have the
That
discipline.
part.
The list goes on. So really wasn't the right
Mm-hmm.
thing for most people. Because
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, when they get older and they really need a permanent cash value policy for various reasons, i.e., take out a loan, have that forever income, but no taxes that have to pay on the growth. Unlike the traditional qualified plans, you're going to end up paying taxes. You don't worry about that. So that's the great thing about the IUL is you can make sure that so when an IUL is growing and it has all that cash value in it, the purpose of that cash value growing inside of that is because you have access to all this cash, just like you have equity in your home. You can take out and borrow whenever you need to.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, by the way, you don't have to get approved. Your credit score can be 380. Your health,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But at the end of the day, you have this policy already in place because you got it at a younger age. I actually do a presentation where I show between, someone that's starting with, say, a 401k versus someone that's starting with an IUL and where they end up
Okay.
in the latter years. And just to fast forward 30 years and 3 slides, I'll tell you what's going to happen for the average person. The average person is going to end up going back to work that has the 401k about 9 to 11 years because they're going to run out of money because of taxes, the market volatility, the market volatility, the taxes, and it was something else. I just lost my train of thought. But they're going to end up going back to work because of that. And so the whole purpose is to help them understand that with that IUL, because they started at a younger age, they're actually going to have access to the growth, the loans that they need, okay? And it's going to give them that money for the rest of their life up until at least age 120. So age 120
So what?
when that stops.
So what kind of time frame are you talking about? I mean, should someone? I mean, earlier is always better, of course.
Right.
But what about somebody in their 40s?
Right. Great
Like I
question.
told you, I gave my brother your number,
Okay,
and
good.
so he's nearing retirement.
Okay.
And I mean, I was telling him because I told you before, my aunt had some sort of, well, her and my mom both had some sort of annuities, and so my aunt's 92. My mother was 84. So they retired at 65 like everybody else. So they had 20, now 30 some years of retirement. So Social Security from what they were making back then, plus pension. But then they had this money coming from this annuity, which really, it's carrying them. I mean, it's carrying them over. I mean, carrying her over because my mom's deceased. But I mean, it carried my mom over.
Right.
It wasn't just, they didn't have to just rely on that money that was coming in from those other sources, but they had some money in those annuities.
Definitely going to get to the older age, but just to finish this up real quick, because I just want to try to keep us, kind of like with one subject and then just move to the next one, because at the end of the day, no matter what your age is, you want to make sure that you have access to something starting out for at least about a 20-year time frame of what you're putting into that account. So we don't recommend anything for less than, say, 15, 20 years, because you're not going to have enough money in there to be able to do anything with, no matter which route you go.
Yeah, that's the question.
Yeah. So the goal is just to see how is it going to perform. And we look at historical trends. Of course, past results don't equal future results. We can't guarantee a result, but we can tell you based on the trend, this is where it is. And for that person that says that they have American National, things of that nature, the carriers are not all equal. They aren't all the same. Okay. The products that they all have are different, right? And so they all based them on various indexes, right? So again, the IUL is based on how the S&P 500 performs. as someone that's a broker for IULs and annuities, what we do is select, which types of indexes we want to put inside your account based on things such as we talked about last time, the par rates, so that's why I say they all aren't created the same. You have some carriers at the par rate, which is the participation rate, meaning that this is the multiplier of how well your account is going to be credited. For example, 410% participation rate is one of the highest I've seen recently. Okay. Meaning that if that account or that index does 10%, then you'll get credited 41% instead of 10% because it's a 410% participation rate, just to make it more clear. Okay. Participation rate is simply a multiplier. That's basically what that is. You have some that have multipliers as low as 69% and some as high as 410% based on how you choose them. Now, of course, the higher the participation rate, possibly the more fees you're going to end up paying. You could get away from paying any fees, but your par rate is not going to be the best in the world either. Now, you have some that where you're not going to pay any participation rate. You're still going to get at least 150, 200, right? Just depends on which carrier. So it's important to know it's not about the carrier's name more so as it is how much are they going to have in terms of their participation rate and what is the cap rate. What is the cap? What's the most I can make on this in any given year? If that cap rate is say 10% and it's 41%, you're only going to get 10%. So understanding what the participation rate, the cap rate is, those are some determining factors on how you choose your IUL or how we present to our clients based on that particular product that's out at that time. Now, because the interest rates have been so high, it's been very competitive with various, and when I say participation rates, let me be real clear. That 410 is, I'm talking about an annuity. Okay. Let me be real clear. So let me back up a little bit because I'm kind of commingling there. That's more of an annuity. Annuities can be very aggressive. Okay. That's why people get them. For example, Social Security is an annuity, but if you get one that's an index annuity, is competing against inflation. That's why you have that 410% par rate. Now we start talking about an IUL, they're somewhere around 250 at the most. They're not going to be too high. They're not going to be as high as an annuity at all. The difference between the two for retirement is that the annuity is going to give you the greatest amount of growth in comparison of the two, generally speaking, right? But it's not going to give you the benefits of the IUL. So if you become chronically, critically, or terminally ill, heart attack, cancer, stroke, dementia, these things that will deplete your bank account, that causes 69% of bankruptcies, medical challenges.
Right.
That's where the IUL comes in at, because if your death benefit is say $300,000, and you're getting anywhere from 80 to 100% of that, that's $300,000 or $280,000 that you can pay on your medical bill if you have heart attack, cancer, stroke, dementia. If you have that amount of death benefit. So the IUL is to help you offset medical challenges. It's to give you that flexibility that you need. It's going to give you access to loans when you need it. So you have liquidity. You don't really have that as much with the annuity. Unfortunately, annuities is primarily going to be that long-term play. You come into a lump sum of money. Maybe some people even take out equity out of their home to put in their annuity to give them a nice retirement. Now, again, that's money you just putting to the side. You don't want to touch that money. To your point about your 92-year aunt, listen, that money is going to help take you on to glory, okay? Because it's going to take you till you're 120 years old, because you got that amount of money that's coming for the rest of your life, just like you would with an IUL. But the IUL, you got to fund that. That's not a lump sum of money. That's more of you not investing, say, in the stocks or in the real estate, but you putting your money in something like an IUL instead, because you want that tax-free growth. The biggest advantage is that you don't pay taxes on that money as long as you properly structure it, and as long as you don't take out a bunch of withdrawals and you only take out loans. If you do those things the right way, you never have to pay taxes on the money that grows inside of your IUL, as aggressive as it can be in how it grows. That's why people love the IUL. For that reason, because people want to get around having to pay taxes. That is the legal way to do that. Now, of course, every other type of retirement account out there, you're going to pay taxes on, and depending on what state you're on, it's more than others. Of course, state, federal, all that's going to come out of that. And by the time you're done with that, whatever's left over, that's what you have. Is all you have. There is no leverage. So the wonderful thing about the IUL is leverage. So you can take out a loan to say buy a new car in retirement, and your money's still growing inside of your account as if you never took it out. So you got a loan over here and you got your money still compounding over here. So that's leverage. So people love that, because when they retire, they might want to start a business. So that's going to fund their business. You can't do that with a 401k. If you get hit by a bus tomorrow, you get injured, you can't do that with a 401k. You can't take the money out You know what I'm saying? So it's just totally different in terms of how you can have liquidity and, you know, those types of things. So that's primarily from that perspective what I wanted to mention about the differences between a traditional plan versus a non-traditional, non-qualified plan.
Okay. So
Yeah.
how did you get into all this?
Yeah, good question. So I got into all of this by really going to, I should say, hosting an event. I was an executive coach, and the people that I've been coaching, they just couldn't really pay the fees that I needed them to pay. And I was like, wow, this is a problem. And I said, because this is a problem, I feel like I need to go and do something about it. And something, a light bulb just went off, just host, you know, an event. And back then, I didn't hear anybody talk about anything generational wealth. It's a buzzword today, but 2019 is when I did it.
Yeah.
And so when I did that generational wealth conference, one of the main keynote speakers, she actually brought me into the industry. And she said, you know what, you're doing all this for free. You're giving these people like a breakfast and everything, and you're not charging anything. You know, the main thing is that why don't we just give you something, but you would have to get licensed. My whole purpose is just to help the people. But she said, if you get licensed, you can get something. I said, well, good, I'll get a license. That's too easy. I can get that in 2 weeks.
Right.
I'll do that. But when I went to get my license, I was so intrigued by what I learned, because I was like, I can teach this to my friends, my family, because I was always about my money. As you well know, from the last time, 8 years old, I've been selling.
Hey.
So always about trying to, you know, shift my mind, shift my lifestyle from that poverty that I grew up in and was born into, to making sure that I was secure. So I wanted to help other people do the same thing. And in doing so, getting my license, I realized it was a lot more I did not know about money. And I had made a lot of money, but didn't understand how money worked. And because I didn't understand how money worked and made all this money, I said, other people need to know what this means, right? And how this looks. So she gave a very nice, you know, presentation, but there was no depth to it, because it was just so much more that I learned in getting my license that I realized I need to go out here and do the same thing. So then I've been on the road doing the same thing. You know, I've been doing a lot of like one-on-one consultations, but that's all changing now, because as I mentioned to you, you know, we're doing educational platforms and those types of things, master classes and courses and books and things of that nature. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, because I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
People know a few things about a few things. And
Right.
then, like you said, there's buzzwords. You know, we got folks coming up on Instagram every other day telling you, oh yeah, well, you know, you could do this, you can make this. And so
Yeah, because
there's a lot of
right.
stuff in the cloud.
I went from being in corporate, learning all I could about real estate so that I could retire with real estate, and I ended up doing just that. So I was a multi-property owner, so a real estate investing. But what I didn't understand with all the real estate investing is that I could have purchased my real estate through my policy, and my money could have been used twice at a minimum, right? We're not talking about the loans that I could have taken out. You're not talking about all the other ways that I could have leveraged that policy. But just buying that property inside of my policy was just a total play that I could have had, and still the money growing inside of my policy at the same time. So again, use your money twice. You know, I left with a sizable 401k, and I used that to purchase the properties, but I could have put that into the policy and then purchase the policy, purchase the property through the policy at the same time. So I just didn't know what I didn't know. And that's the reason why I do things like this, to have these conversations so people understand some different plays that they can do so that they can leverage. It's really the word is about leverage. You know, people that understand how money works, they understand leverage. And we just really don't understand leverage. That's why we don't understand how credit works. We think credit is bad. Credit is not bad if you're using credit to purchase an asset that's going to make you more money using the credit. But if you're using the credit to be flashy, cars and, you know, bags and things of that nature, that's not how we use credit. We use credit to purchase an asset that's going to make us more money. And so that's the reason why we think credit is bad, but it's not bad. It's just how we use it is bad, and how we've just never been taught that you need to go purchase a car, you know, or a house with your credit card, because you can do that, right? In certain things, right? So that's the thing about credit that I think we need to have a better understanding of and really be able to leverage. It's all about leverage. Same thing you can do with a credit card, you can do with life insurance. And if you go to any type of lender today and you say, I got X amount of dollars in my life insurance policy, it's just like cash. I mean, it's like, okay, you got that. Okay, then you're no risk at that time, at that point. So, yeah.
Okay, we're going to put your information in the description. So if anybody wants to get in touch with you, I'm trying to get my brother over there to you. I'm coming over there to you. We're going to sit down and find out about all this so we can be better. Aisha is she's gonna be traveling this year with her buddies, but
Okay.
we we're gonna get her over there so she can begin to understand because she
Yes.
got a lot more. She's what, 30 something?
Yes. 35. So
Yes.
I am
Yeah,
like,
she's a millennial. Get
yes.
her.
So think about that. You say travel. What if you have a policy where all the travel that you do, all that money that you're going to use for traveling, came out of your policy as a loan, and if you don't pay it back, no big deal, because it's just going to be subtracted from your death benefit to whoever you have it for. I'm just using that as an example. People use
Yeah.
policies for all types of ways, right? So the thing about it is you already spending money on certain things already anyway. Why not funnel all the money that you're using already through a policy? And now you have, because to me, and everybody should understand this, that having a policy is wealth on sale. You're taking care of the next generation at a discount because you're not going to put in $300,000 over your lifetime into that policy, but yet you can still take out whatever you need to go and do things like travel or start your business or whatever the case may be. You got to use the money anyway. Why not it have leverage if something happens? Because here's the deal: you're young, and this is what I tell young people: you want to lock in your insurability. No matter where you go, you don't have to come to me. Just go somewhere because you want to lock in your insurability at the youngest, healthiest age possible. Once you have some type of medical challenge, once you're old, every year that you're growing, you're aging. Every year your premium is going up. So if you can lock in your premium at the youngest age and just get something, you're gonna thank me later. I promise you, because it gets expensive the older you get, and you're gonna want it when you're 40, 50.
Yes, it does.
You probably don't want it at 30.
I can
Or you
tell
might
you.
not want it at 20. I knew at 23 I wanted it, and I got one. But everybody's not the same. But at the end of the day, all the things that I talked about with leverage, it won't hit home until something happens, and you wish you had that policy. Because now, like we had a young lady had cancer. God forbid it ever happens to anybody, right? But she needed $80,000. That $80,000 she was able to write. Somebody that have a stroke, same thing. We strike them a check because at the end of the day, you have this policy. Now you can leverage that policy to offset those medical bills. Because otherwise, some people, that's why they end up having bankruptcies. You don't have to have that.
Right.
You don't have to deplete your retirement account.
And it's a conversation that needs to be had. Nobody wants to talk about this. They want to talk about what we can do quick, fast, and in a hurry, which is not going to last. But I mean, these are the conversations that we need to have, especially with folks in your age bracket, for sure. You guys are young professionals, and you just leverage is, now when you get to this here. No telling what it's going to cost me to get one.
Yeah.
I have a term policy, but if I switch over to, and I'll talk to you about it later, but I'm sure it's going to cost me.
But the older you are, the more expensive it becomes. I'll just say that.
Well, we pretty old over here.
No, you young.
No, I think, you bring up a good point, the lack of that knowledge that wasn't transferred to us as others have had the privilege to have that information. And so thankfully, we do have professionals that look like us and we can be authentic and ask those questions to not only help us now, but help our future generations. So I'm already looking at, okay, I need to learn more about this option and explore that. So I'm glad I'm learning this again in January so I can kind of make those incremental changes we talked about.
Put that in your resolution.
And go traveling and use that policy. So yes, I want to learn more and more about it.
I literally did a reel on that. I was traveling.
I need to follow you.
Policy isn't doing all this, then you don't have the right.
Yes.
Oh, Lord help me.
Yeah, I'll put all her social media. She's got like 5 Instagram accounts, but I'll put all her social media in the description.
And I need to follow
she does a lot of reels. Exactly. Yeah, follow her.
I want to talk a little bit about the cash flow and just various steps to financial freedom. You think about cash flow, the one thing that, everyone's trying to do before they retire is that they know they got to increase their cash flow. Most people are getting a second job or a third job, the average person. But I just want to do a quick training around, the cash flow quadrant. I'm not sure how familiar you are with that. But
Mm-hmm.
Robert Kiyosaki speaks about the cash flow quadrant in his book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. And
Yeah.
so there's
Rich
4
dad, poor
quadrants.
dad.
And so the
Mm-hmm.
goal is to try to get to the investor quadrant as quickly as possible, right? But the average person is in the W-2 or self-employment arena. And that's 95% of people, unfortunately. 95% of
Right.
people are paying these taxes, right? The tax code is not written for the W-2 employee, and the self-employed. It's really written for the investor, the business owner.
Mm-hmm.
And so the goal is to try to get some type of business so that you can offset taxes. Before COVID, it was like about 475 deductions, and after it was like 675. It's so many more deductions. And but our community, we all about trading the time for money. And nothing wrong with that for a season, and nothing wrong with that if that's what makes you happy, because I certainly did it for many years as an Army officer, then a corporate high level leader. But if that's all you're doing, it's going to be really hard for you to retire, with a sizable amount of money to be able to live off of. Like let's say if you're making $100,000, you're not going to retire with $100,000. You're going to retire closer to $60,000, if not 40.
Right.
So the goal is to see how can I supplement that with greater with a cash flow account of some sort. And that is the reason why people are getting businesses or getting real
Mm-hmm.
estate. Me myself, I got a real estate portfolio. And then also you can have things like insurance to help you as well increase that cash flow, because the money that you're putting in that, now you got another cash flow altogether. You're creating your own Social Security in case Social Security is not here, or you're supplementing that because you don't want there to be a gap. So the number one step to financial freedom is cash flow. How do I increase my cash flow? The number 2, of course, is to be debt free. How do I get rid of all my debt? There's a policy type for that. And you want it to be some type of infinite banking policy type, right? Rather than an IUL that's properly structured or a whole life policy, you can get that type of policy where literally, let's say excuse me, let's say your money, your bills is $1,000 a month. Well, you're paying $1,000 a month inside of a policy, let's say. Now that $1,000 a month is coming right back out to go and pay your bills, right?
Mm-hmm.
People do it all day long, every day, all day, every day.
Mm-hmm.
And they got this, look how much money that you can get for $1,000 a month, right? So a $500,000, $700,000 policy, God forbid, but if something happens to them tomorrow and they put $12,000 away for a year, 4 years for $48,000, something happens to them in 4 years, that's $700,000 that they have. So that's at least $680,000 that their family's going to get. And all they did was put that $12,000 over those years. Long story made short, you're using the money anyway. So the infinite banking policy makes sense for that reason, because now you can cash flow through a policy and still be able to use the money twice, because the money is being used to pay the bills and is going inside of the policy. You understand how that works? So if you don't pay the money back,
Okay.
it's just going to come off your death benefit. If you pay it back, that's great. So that's how that works. So debt freedom, that is the way that everyone's paying, not everyone, but a lot of people are paying all of their debt off in 7 to 9 years. I don't care if it's a mortgage, I don't care if it's a student loan, IRS debt. They're paying all their debt off in 7 to 9 years by structuring it inside of a policy and just being really aggressive with money that they're paying on bills anyway, and just flowing it through a policy, letting that policy be structured in such a way that the death benefit is really low, so that cash flow can really grow. You see how that works?
Right.
You're not getting it for the
Mm-hmm.
death benefit. You're getting it because you want to live and pay debt off. I know y'all like those. I don't know
Exactly.
what it is about me and these rhymes, and I'm always rhyming. I help you retire before you expire. So if that's what you desire and
Come on.
expire, I'm
You
the one you
got to
hire.
get you a
My
beat
goal
behind
really
that.
is to get your bank account on fire. I like the ride too. But
Yes.
You just need a beat.
you want that
Gotta
death,
get
you
your
want
beat.
that death benefit to be low, so your cash flow can grow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so when it grows, now you're paying off all your debt. That's what it's meant for. That's what we want to use it for, right? We don't want it just only for the death benefit. It's called a life insurance policy for a reason, so that you can use it while you're living, not when you're gone. You know what I mean? So
Right. Exactly.
you got your cash flow paid off. I mean, you're getting your cash flow in. You got your debt paid off, and now you want to have an emergency fund. So what other
Mm-hmm.
cultures do very well is understand how to have savings. They don't live
Okay, so
paycheck to paycheck.
you put that in a different order than we've heard before.
Right. And it can go
Right.
either way. Those are the top 3. So they're going to
Okay.
be the top 3.
Okay.
The top 3 is cash
Okay.
flow, debt freedom, and then making sure you have that emergency fund. Listen, the emergency fund
Emergency
is
fund.
important because we already know what happened with COVID, right? Anything can happen with your
Mm-hmm.
job. Do you have at least a year? And I'm not saying 3 to 6 months like the average person is going to tell you. I'm going to say a year, because anything can
Mm.
happen. And that's ideal. Do you have a year
Yeah.
saved inside of your policy? So those are the top three. And I'm just going to stop right there because I know I'm about out of time, and we're almost out of time. I want to make sure there's any other comments and questions. I see someone had something in the chat about American National. I already kind of addressed that, saying that all carriers are not created the same. And so
Correct.
you want to know what to look for when you have an IUL. So now it's been a year ago, no big deal. Look and see where you are. How was your policy structured? I'll tell anybody with an IUL, there's 2 ways that you can structure the policy. One way is the way I just told you. If that death benefit is low, your cash flow is going to grow. But if you
Mm-hmm.
want to have a dime, so let's look at dime, DIME method used so that you can have at least enough coverage in your death benefit. Not talking about it being low, but talking about at least having enough coverage. The D
Mm-hmm.
stands for debt. How much debt are you in completely? Making sure that your death benefit is going to at least cover all of your debt. All right. So looking at all of that. Okay. IRS, student loan, mortgage, all of that. Your income. How many years of income do you want to leave your spouse or your children or your significant other, whoever your beneficiary is? How many years of income do you want to leave them if something was to happen to you? Some people say 5, some people say 10, some people say more. We often say at least 3 to 5 years so they can at least mourn your death and be able to go on with their life after, say, 3 or 5 years of mourning. So if you're making $100,000 a year, then you want to have, if that's 3 to 5 years, $300,000 to $500,000 just in that, just in
Mm-hmm.
that grieving process, for income. And then of course the M is for mortgage for the dime, and then the E is expenses. If you have children, that's $100,000 per child. That's $25,000 for 4-year college for each child. If your children plan to go to college, you want to do that for each child. So if you have 3 children, that's $300,000 right there. So when you add all that up, that's your death benefit. That's what you should have. Right? If you don't want to go the low route and you want to have enough coverage, then you use the dime method to determine how much death benefit do I really need to have.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. That's
Mhm.
good. That's good grocery, as they say.
Yes. So taxation and inflation, those are the other ways, of course, to use a policy. Or let's just talk about annuities a little bit. I know we're talking a little bit about policies and annuities. You got stocks out there, you got mutual funds. Really, a 401k is a mutual fund based product. All of those different plans are primarily mutual fund, meaning that you can lose money in
Mm-hmm.
them. Nothing wrong with that if you're young and you have time for that to rebound in your lifetime. If there is to be a loss, we look at trends. We look at where we're at right now. Do we feel like over the next few years it's going to plummet? Can you absorb that amount of loss inside of your retirement account? If you're good with that, that's fine. There's always going to be a level of risk. The greater the risk, the greater the reward. But also, can
Right.
you absorb? I often tell people, don't start investing into anything until you have enough money to do that. The first thing you want to do, get that cash, emergency cash savings right. They get that account right before you start thinking about how I want to put money aside, stocks and EFTs and cryptocurrencies, and the list goes on. First, get your foundation secure. And so when I
Mm-hmm.
talk about the steps to financial freedom, I usually talk about 6 different steps, and I told you the first 3. All 6 steps. There is no other commodity. This is why I love life insurance. There is no other commodity like a life insurance policy. It's going to give you all 6 steps. So you look at stocks,
Okay.
you look at everything else. There's nothing else but a life insurance policy that's going to give you the proper foundation with all 6 steps in that particular financial asset.
Okay. Send me those 6 steps. I'll put those in the description as well. So I'll
Okay.
put that and your contact information. So if anybody wants to get in touch with you so that you can properly educate them on IULs, annuities, insurance, retirement, all the things that you do. You're retire before you expire. I can't remember the rest of the rhyme. But anyway,
Too funny.
I am so happy and excited. I'm so glad that both of you all were with us today. I don't know what happened to my friend, but anyway,
It was too
Jerome,
much
he
power
got
on
two little,
here.
Too much girl power. Too much of this way.
he's got 2 little babies, so who knows what was going on with
Mhm.
them. So thank you again for coming on. I put all the information in the description because people are going to check it out later, and your Instagram, all your Instagram
really Shateka Husser Official
contacts.
or Shateka Husser Financial. I'll tell you, the
Shateka
financial is
Husser.
for Hustle Financial Solutions. Read Reckless Abandonment is for
Right.
my book that I have. I don't have it near me. And then, of course, I have She Inspires, as that's primarily,
He
doing
inspires.
community work. So we go out into different communities and
Correct.
host generational wealth building events. And so that's what that one's for.
Okay.
So the two main ones would be my name, Shateka Husser Official, and then Shateka Husser Financial.
Okay. Awesome. So we're going to put all that in the description as I ask every week. Like, share, subscribe, um, and hit the notification bell. That way you'll know when we put some content up. I was telling Aisha, she was talking about somebody that has a reading through the Bible in a year. Well, Dr. Claire has reading through the Bible in a year as well. On
Nice.
this YouTube channel, Mighty Through God, every day there is we read through Old Testament, New Testament, Psalm, and a proverb. So
Okay.
I did that one year. I think it was 2021. So that's here. You can listen to my wonderful voice for for that
Nice.
content. On, on Fridays, I do Friday morning prayer where I put up a prayer meditation. So, we are just there's a lot on the page. It's the ministry is Mighty Through God. The weight room is the podcast. So, okay, I'll get that information on it. But thank y'all for joining us today. I'm going to not lose you. Don't leave me, but I'm gonna take you out. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you are able to rewind this and get some more of that information. Give Shateka a call. Remember to do your resolutions, have SMART goals, and we will see you again next week. Have a great day. I hope you had a wonderful MLK day, that you had a day on and not a day off, and that you served people in your area.